And once again, this mayor who is destroying this city because he gives everything to illegal aliens and he takes from us and takes from uniformed services now. He's slashing the budget for the firefighters, for the cops, for the sanitation men, and other agencies of the city, all for the illegal aliens, and ugats and bupkis for us, the people who got to pay the taxes. And the most important aspect of the role is mayor. I don't want to hear this crap that he's trying. He took an oath of office back in 2022, January 1st. Remember, Lou, he said God had told him 30 years before that he was going to be sworn in as the mayor of the city of New York. Took an oath of office to protect everybody in New York City, and he has forsaken everybody. So in this round of cuts, because he decided to give all our money to illegal aliens, he is once again renewing what Bill de Blasio, the part-time mayor, the dope from Park Slope, tried to do and again had to amend it. And I'll tell you, because I remember directly being in the crossfire and criticizing Daniel Nigro, who was his fire commissioner and, of course, the author of removing the 5th firefighters from the engine companies in New York City. And that was back, if I remember correctly, in 2018. Let me tell you how serious this is. I remember as a little boy, I went to the Canarsie Firehouse on Rockaway Parkway. That's where the Canarsie kid was from, who recently, unfortunately, perished in a fire. Massive turnout of support at his wake in Flatbush, and the funeral mass out in Bell Harbor, and his burial. And remember at that time, I said, no, I know for years I was called the Canarsie kid. No, that firefighter, what a brave guy. Out of all the things I've ever done, and have been, as you know, many perilous things that have put my life in the crossfire, the most dangerous thing I ever did was to run into a burning building when I was delivering the Daily News. I was 16 and rescued 5 people. The sixth one, was on fire. That person emotionally disturbed had set themselves on fire on their bed. And I tell you, I still have nightmares about that. I don't have nightmares about being shot. I don't have nightmares about anything else in my life except running into that burning building. It's nothing prepares you for that. Nothing ever prepares you for that smoke that knocks you out, for the heat, the flames, and the fact that you can feel under you fire, you can feel over you fire, and you know the next step is you're out of here. You're going to be room temperature. So to all those men and women, wherever you are, who are firefighters, whether you're professionals, whether you're volunteer firefighters, without a doubt, it is the most scariest thing I've ever been involved with. But now let's bring it up to the here and now. I remember that disgraziata de Blasio took away the 5th firefighter from 10 engine companies. This was in 2018, right before the Christmas season, where the fire commissioner, Daniel Nigro, instead of Nigro resigning, which he should have done, he just, yes, boss, yeah, whatever you do, boss, yeah, whatever you do. There was bone-chilling temperatures, I'll never forget it, between Christmas and New Year's. They took that 5th firefighter off the engine companies. There were 12 who died in a massive blaze in the Belmont section of the Bronx at that time. A total of about 20 people in just those 2 weeks. And study after study showed that the engine companies equipped with 5 firefighters can get water on a fire twice as quickly. There's no doubt about it. So what did they do? They restored the 5th firefighter. And now they're playing rope-a-dope with the fire department again. Eric Adams. Let me tell you a story about Eric Adams. I spent a lot of time in Brownsville, even lived in Osborne and Hegeman at one time, after I grew up in Canarsie. Most white guys left Brownsville a long time ago. I did reverse osmosis and moved in there. I was the only white guy. I remember when Eric Adams was making his bones in the police department and organizing black police officers. He had a press conference outside of a firehouse underneath Livonia Avenue, the number 3 train, going to New Lots Avenue. And he was saying there were too many white firefighters. Too many white firefighters. Basically, once again, alluding to the fact, without using the term, that they're a bunch of crackers. And the UFA never forgot it. Their leadership endorsed them against me, even though they were aware of it, because many of them were probationary firefighters back then, who had gone up the ladder of civil service, because more so in any other department, it's civil service. They get you the promotions to firefighter, driver, lieutenant, captain, battalion chief, assistant chief. I think once you're a fire chief, it's all appointment. Before that, it's all civil service. So all those firefighters knew that about Eric Adams. And then the union, the UFA, we're going to endorse Eric Adams. Yeah, if you called you too white, might as well have called you all crackers and just basically disparaged you. And now once again, he goes back to the old playbook, removing the fifth firefighter from 20 engine companies in New York City, cutting the staffing by 20%. Well, today, the UFA at 2 p.m., at their association headquarters, I think it's on 23rd in Manhattan, will have a press conference decrying it. They've had to do that before. No longer with them. One of the greatest guardian angels of all time. He was with me just about in the beginning, Eddie Brown. Went through the ranks. I remember spending many days at the firehouse at Bryan and Seneca when we were doing crack raids in the area with the guardian angels. And he was a firefighter, union delegate. Went on to become their treasurer. Knows all about the business, explained it to me, from beginning to end. Saved my life in New Orleans. A guy tried to shoot me, and he took him out with an axe kick when we were organizing Guardian Angels there. But this is extraordinarily perilous. Extraordinarily perilous. That fire engine is equipped with that hydraulic pump, that hose and water so that the firefighters can attack and fight the fire. They got to aggressively fight that fire. They will go in where nobody else will go. That's the fire engine. You need the 5. You can't go less than 5. You are putting everybody's life in jeopardy. You think Eric Adams, you think anyone on his staff, you think the people in city council give Jack Dilly squat any idea of what has to be done? Then you have the fire trucks, the engines. That's like the toolbox. They come in there with that gigantic aerial ladder, the rescue equipment, the tools to support the firefighting that's going on. It's all orchestrated. They train. Then they bring in that super pumper that can draw from 8 hydrants, 10,000 gallons per minute. These fires, they explode with ferocity. And, all we hear of late is Laura Kavanaugh. Nobody likes Laura Kavanaugh. Why the hell she's the fire commissioner is beyond me. Her 2 top uniformed officials, the chief of the department, chief of fire operations, basically said, we are not demoting 3 chiefs. All of a sudden, they're alluding to the fact that all Laura Kavanaugh has done at the behest of Eric Adams is create a fire inspection priority list under the cloud of always prioritizing friends of Eric Adams' first donors. If you didn't donate, to the back of the bus. And that's all Laura Kavanaugh. She's got to go. She's a horror. But let me get back on track. Because what this does is it jeopardizes the firefighters. It jeopardizes citizens. And all we hear of late, I'm sure you've heard this also. Wrong Way, Lou Ruffino and Matt Meany. The lithium-ion batteries. The lithium-ion batteries explode. They create fires. They're in smartphones, laptops, electric scooters and bikes, e-cigarettes, wheelchairs. They're rechargeable. You know how many houses I've been in? You go into a tenement. They're overloading the strip. That all of a sudden has like 9 sockets, and they got they figured out a way to put 12 into the main socket. They're tapping into electricity from a nearby building. They've got extension cords that are so old and they're ripped apart, and it's a fire waiting to happen. And you can't necessarily put out these fires created by these lithium-ion batteries with water alone. You got to come in sometimes with chemicals in order to do it. And sometimes once you think you put the fire out, the fire starts again. Because they're overcharging, there are explosions, there are fires. And then all the illegally subdivided apartments in this city that every mayor, including my friends, allowed to exist in the city. And they never shut these buildings down. And people living in basements with fake walls, in individual rooms, some of them living in closets against every fire code going on. And all of our politicians look the other way, Democrats and Republicans, especially Bloomberg, the billionaire when he was mayor. Last year, there were 200 fires alone because of these lithium-ion batteries, which are being used more and more and more in fire traps. So what is our response to all these additional fires? We're going to remove the fifth firefighter from 20 engine companies in New York City, cutting the staffing by 27%. Why? To take care of more illegal aliens? You should resign, Eric Adams, if you do this. You should freaking resign because you took an oath to protect the people of New York, to protect our visitors, to protect our tourists, to protect our firefighters, to protect everyone in the most, as I have personally experienced, frightening situation that occurred. Remember, I got shot with 5 hollow point bullets in the back of that cab, June 19th of 1992. It pales in comparison to when, as a 16-year-old, I made the decision to charge into a burning building on 92nd Street off of Avenue J in Canarsie to rescue 5 people while delivering the Daily News in the morning. That was the most frightening experience. And you can't find a lot of men and women who will do that job. And they got to train, and they got to train. And against their better instincts, the human instinct is, don't run into that fire. And I got to tell you, firefighter after firefighter has said, look, we got to train. You can't have a fire going on over your head or under you, because that could mean the Grim Reaper is going to come for you. And this mayor who disparaged firefighters years ago in Brownsville, how quickly you forget, UFA, and your leadership, when basically he called you all a bunch of crackers without using that term. And now all of a sudden, he's removing the fifth firefighter, again, as de Blasio did, from 20 engine companies. Are we going to allow that to take place? Because there are going to be more cuts down the road. And all I hear from everybody, oh, he's trying, Eric Adams. He's trying. He's trying to freaking destroy this city. And he's doing a good job of that. You know how many firefighters end up with cancer? The leading cause of their death because of all the toxins that they were exposed to and inhale, and then it festers inside of them. Some of the men and women who never smoked, not a cigarette, not a joint in their life, not a cigar, cigarette, Tiparillo, end up with severe lung cancer, which is a killer. You know what that's from. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has not gotten anywhere near the attention of us being down to 29,000 cops. That's ridiculous to begin with. But if they are able to remove the fifth firefighter, dozens will be injured, dozens will die, and most importantly, our firefighters, the bravest, remember 9/11, right? The bravest, how many men they lost? And then all of a sudden we're going to say, well, you got to be even braver. This mayor should resign if this continues with this policy. And Laura Kavanaugh, a feckless, weak fire commissioner, should resign also because nobody respects her. Nobody follows her in the fire department.